folks. Welcome to another episode of the Snowies Camping Show. Once again, I'm here with Lauren. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I always pause at that bit. I feel like I want to say something different, but there's only one other person in the room, and I always say it. Yeah,
we're off to not a different start.
Banter and the nonsense. So
yeah, it's true.
Yeah, we will get to the core of what we're talking about soon. But firstly, if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our show either via YouTube where you can watch us, or if you just want to listen, or if you don't want to watch us, you can tune in on your favorite podcast app and just listen in to the episodes there. I don't know what number we're up to now, 100 and something. But,
it might even be 120, 119, 120, something like that.
Yeah, 3 studios and 100 and something episodes. And who'd have thought we'd have talk that many episodes about not much.
Probably a few people who know us.
Anyway, today we're doing an interview with our friends at our store up in Queensland, sunny Brendale. We've got on the line Dave, who's our store manager, and Beck, who works up there with Dave. How are you guys?
Hi. Good, thanks. Hi, Ben. Hi, Lauren. How are you?
Good.
Good to have you back on the show, Dave. You've been with us before, but Beck, you're a new face. I'm sure the people up in Queensland will, or those who have been in the store know of you. This is the first time I've spoken to you. But do you guys want to tell us a bit about yourselves just for the community? Dave, people already know, but you might as well do another intro just for the sake of it.
Yeah, I'm Dave. I don't know what to say.
Folks, go back to our Rooftop 10 episode with Brendale to check out Dave's intro and have a refresh.
Yeah, we'll put a
it's
link.
A free pass there, mate.
We'll put a link directly to the 5 seconds that he introduced himself last time, and then you can jump back here after that. So we'll go to Beck now because Dave set Beck up really well for what she's going to say there. What do you like doing, Beck? Tell us about yourself.
I've been at Snowies for almost 4 years, and I love going beach camping with the kids, my family, and I'm trying to get into the hiking scene as well.
Nice.
How many kids have you got, Beck?
I've got 3.
3 kids. Wow. Is that a challenge?
It's a good number.
Lauren would know. You'd be able to talk closely with Lauren. She cares with a lot of kids. I've only got 2.
Yeah, I remember.
And I find that challenging enough.
I remember once when I was in the supermarket and I had my third as a newborn, and then the other 2 were still toddlers, and a woman walked past me and she was like, "Don't worry, dear. Once you have 3, you can have 20, and it makes no difference. It's all you've passed you're getting into the hardest phase or whatever." So yeah. It is a bit crazy. So lucky that you are into beach camping, Beck, because that's what our episode today is. We're going to pick the brains of you guys. Obviously, being up there in Queensland, you've got the choice of some awesome islands camping. But before we get into that, when was the last time either of you went camping, and where'd you go?
I was in January this year, a week at Fraser Island.
Nice. And did you take your rooftop tent? Which one did you go with?
I took my hardcore rooftop tent.
Nice.
Yeah.
Excellent. And you were there for a whole week?
Yep, we spent a week up there.
Yeah, sweet. And what about you, Beck?
We went Bribie just around Christmas time.
Yeah, nice.
So that was about 6 days, I think it was.
Sweet. Yeah.
Is that a common thing for Queensland? You go camping, you go to an island. I mean, we've got one island that we could go to here in South Australia.
Which costs a bloody $1 million via the most expensive ferry in the world.
Yeah.
But Bribie's connected by road.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah. Sounds like it's a common thing. Everyone, when they go camping in Queensland, it's like I've been to an island.
Mm.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway.
So let's get into beach camping in general. How do you go about finding a beach that you know you can camp on?
Jump onto your Queensland Parks and Wildlife Services page.
Yep.
And it lists the beach campgrounds or the island campgrounds you can go to. And you organise your permits and your vehicle permits through that.
Do you guys have, because I know in South Australia or there are some states where there are beaches that are just owned by council, not necessarily under parks, where you can just camp overnight. Do you guys have that in Queensland as well, where you could go to a remote beach and camp overnight, or is it generally a no-no unless it's in like a designated camp area?
Further up north, you can get free camps on beaches.
Yep.
But in southeast Queensland, it's all QPWS, Queensland Parks and Wildlife Service.
So you need both a camping permit and a vehicle permit. So the vehicle permits to get the vehicle on the beach, and then you got to pay for camping as well. Yep.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can go for day trips or whatever. If you have your vehicle permit, you can go up for the day.
Okay, right. Oh, that makes sense. It'd be interesting to hear. Have you done any camping in other states as well, or is it predominantly Queensland?
Predominantly Queensland, Ben.
I'm asking, sort of loading the question, I suppose. I'm sure other people will jump online and let us know, but I'm pretty sure that it'd be similar regulations in most states. I can't think of. You can take your car on the beach in a few places here in South Australia, but I'm pretty sure you've got to pay
overnight camping and stuff.
No, some places, some you can pay a small fee to get the car on the beach. Others, I don't think you have to, but you can't.
Not
camp
sure.
them, yeah.
Not sure,
Anyway,
to be honest.
I guess check with your local regulations.
Now, a lot of people, I mean, obviously up there, as you've mentioned you've been to Fraser, you've gone to Bribie. You know, I grew up not grew up, but I spent a fair bit of time in Queensland as a kid because my dad lived there. And I know just even going over to Moreton for a couple of days is quite common. So for you guys up there, beach camping is probably a large part of what you get up to, more so than probably everywhere else in the country. If you're looking to get into beach camping, is there anything additional or other considerations for your camp kit that you need for the beach? Like if someone's already mostly set up, what are the other considerations they'd have if they're going to start doing more beach camping stuff?
Yeah.
Sand gets everywhere. So muck mats and like your ground covers.
Ground sheets are
always really good to help get the sand off.
Yeah. Banister brush. Always handy to have a banister brush with you. Or several of them.
Yeah, in the car, in the tent. Yeah.
And sand pegs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, get rid of your dirt pegs and replace them with sand pegs.
Yeah.
Now, sorry, Benji, I've got a question that's come up now. A lot of questions that we come through with sand pegs. Now, obviously in our experience, that's mostly relating to like gazebos and beach shelters and things like that. If you're camping in a tent or a swag, obviously what you're pegging through is quite small, whereas a lot of sand pegs like those super peg polycarbon, polyethylene pegs are really thick stakes and they're not going to be able to peg through the loops on tents and things. How do you get around that?
They've got little hooks on them.
Okay.
Yeah, so you just hook them onto the corner of the tent.
Okay, nice.
So do you generally use sand pegs all the way around or just sort of on the main stress points like guy ropes or corners?
Your smaller sand pegs on everything that's on the ground, and your larger sand pegs on anything that's got wind shear, so guy ropes, awnings, covers, things like that. Okay,
but it's pretty much sand pegs all around. If you go on the beach, it's all sand pegs. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And also, I mean, obviously you can get sand pegs that are large enough to kill a vampire with, and you can get sand pegs that are a bit smaller. How do you know what the best sand peg to get is, like in terms of length and size and thickness?
It really depends on the softness of the sand, I think. If it's softer sand, you need bigger ones. And, so a bit tricky if you've not been up there before.
Pop into your local snowy store and see your team and they'll help you out.
Nice one. I love that. Love that little plug there. But is there one that would, like, is it just the sort of mid-range size, or is there one particular size that you think's a bit more universal?
No, I've got mostly the mid-range.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because if you add too many sand pegs to a kit, you're going to end up with a pretty big bag of sand pegs because those plastic ones get pretty bulky.
Yeah, like the big, massive one.
Yeah, your
ones.
vampire ones.
Yeah, vampire ones. Okay, so I know like this is a beach camping episode, but we're focusing in on sand pegs here right now. So sorry, guys, we're going a bit off plan.
That never happens.
Do you know the difference between those polycarb and the polyethylene
polypropylene
ones? Polypropylene and polycarb
so
ones?
Yellow,
the yellow and the black, the super peg ones, for example?
Yeah. So the black ones are made from a recycled material, I believe, whereas the polycarbonate are a new material that's been constructed in the peg. The polycarbonates are really tough. The black ones more so tend to flex and will break. I've broken a few over the years.
All right. Okay. That's good to know.
So they cost more, polycarbonate ones.
That's right.
But basically, if you can afford it, it's a better option.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I had my time again, I've got mostly the black pegs. If I had my time again, I would have bought all yellow to start off with.
Okay, that's good to know.
You can tell the difference. There might be different colours out there. We're talking specifically the Super Peg ones, and the black ones have got a bit of flex to them. You can kind of bend them with your hands, but the yellow ones feel almost more brittle, don't they? But what do you use to put them in the ground? That's another interesting question, because they feel like they would break easier or shatter.
Yeah, I just use the orange fiberglass Super Peg hammer.
Okay. All right. So not a mash hammer, like a metal mash hammer. Just use something a bit softer.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. Cool. I've got a ground sheet question. Are you done on your
go for it, mate.
vampire stakes?
You're all good.
So ground sheets. The Sea Gear is obviously the premium ground sheet for beach camping. It was something that was made by the military for like a portable helicopter landing pad, but they're not cheap. Oztrail do an Ultra Mesh, which is a mesh thing, and then obviously you've got your traditional tarp. But what do you guys use for beach camping?
I've got Ultra Mesh, and also I've also got a Supex, the caravan awning, the rubbery one.
Oh yeah. Okay.
How does that actually? I've got a question. How does that go? Because I feel like that Supex matting, that Annex mat, sort of like the draw liners that you can get from Bunnings to stop stuff slipping around, and I feel like sand would stick to it.
Yeah, if it's wet, it does a little. Yeah.
Okay.
The Ultra Mesh is better; it just sort of goes through. But like you said, the Sea Gear is probably the best because you've got the layers, and then the sand doesn't really sit on top. Where with the Ultra Mesh, sometimes it can sit on top. When you're walking on it, that makes sense.
Okay, yep.
So you'd recommend going for a mesh type tarp?
Yeah.
I'm assuming. I mean, I've beach camped a bit, but not as much as what you guys have. But I'm assuming using a silver tarp, you're just going to end up with sand dunes of sand on top. It's like it's almost
under your tent.
it's almost pointless having it there. Oh, and water as well, right? I suppose.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend putting a tarp under your tent.
Okay.
Oh, not under the tent at all.
No.
Not at all. No,
not even a mesh one?
Actually, it'll cool the water and hold the water under your tent.
Oh, okay.
Or soak through the floor of your tent, whereas a mesh will allow the water to get away.
Yeah.
Righto. Okay, gotcha.
And I find that the Oztrail Ultra Mesh is great to put under your tents for beach camping, but the Sea Gear is better to put in your communal areas.
Right, okay.
Because as you walk around, it allows the sand to get away a lot easier and keeps it underneath.
Yep.
It's probably a good tip because a smaller Sea Gear's not going to be as much, right? So you just use that for where you're walking.
Yeah,
and
under
then
your shelter or
don't
whatever.
invest all the money on something for underneath your tent. I use the Ultra Mesh tarps for under my tents. They last years and years. They're really good value, but I know what you mean about the Sea Gear one. Keeping a sand-free area where you're living.
Being Queenslanders, I'm assuming you both have 4-wheel drives, but do you need a 4-wheel drive if you want to get into beach camping?
Pretty much short answer is yes. There are some places you can get to with 2-wheel drive access. Inskip Point is one I can think of off the top of my head. But if you want to get over to the islands and get up the beach, you need a 4-wheel drive.
But there is the option of hiring. There's lots of hire companies and stuff if you don't have your own.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm assuming, Bribie obviously has that road access. I'm assuming there's some beachfront camping grounds or beach camping grounds there that you could get to in 2-wheel drive? No.
There is a campground at Bribie, a caravan park that you can stay at, but it's not direct beach access.
Yeah.
You cross over the island and to the ocean side, and then you drive up a sand track for about five or so Ks before it pops you out on the beach.
Okay.
Then you travel about 10 Ks up the beach before you get to the campgrounds, the beach campgrounds.
Okay, that's good to know.
So I want to ask about some environmental factors, and tides is one that I'm just going to put in a separate chat because I've got a few questions around tides. But big considerations for camping on the beach, obviously, is wind. How else do you need to kind of think about camping differently when you're on the beach?
Winds, tides, and mozzie repellent.
Okay, all right. So winds being because winds are just more relentless on the beach, right? You don't have any protection from the wind. It rarely stops. It just keeps blowing.
Yeah, so it'd come down to choosing which site you go into, depending on whether some sites are very open and exposed to the beach. Others will be tucked behind little dunes or behind trees, which will give you some protection.
Okay, and if it's exposed, do you guys use any form of windbreak or anything like that?
Yeah, park your car in front.
Yeah, okay. Yep. So you don't specifically set anything up. I know some people might be tempted to use a wall of the awning or something, but you do place a lot of stresses on the tent if you're relying entirely on the tent wall. Would you recommend that?
Yeah, if you parked your car in front and then put a wall on your awning or tent, that could work. That could definitely work.
Yep.
And I didn't ask what you camp in, Beck, because I know Dave obviously has a rooftop tent. What do you use for your family camping?
We have a pop-up caravan, but my son always sleeps in a swag or swagger tent.
Yep.
Okay.
Have you, I've got the swaggers for the kids. They're awesome. Have you had much experience with beach camping with just a normal tent?
Yes.
And-
Yes, previously before kids.
Yeah. So obviously I think when it comes to camping in a normal tent, wind is like the ultimate nemesis for tent camping. What sort of tents do you recommend in our range that might hold up to that windy beach camping environment a bit more than others, do you think? Sorry, I'll put you on the spot with this one.
Yeah, I'd say some good tents to choose for beach camping would be your Oztent RV range, an RX series. Your Black Wolf tents are also good. Oztrail Instant Ups and your Coleman Instant Ups as well are also a good choice. As long as you're using the correct pegs and are using all your guy ropes is the important thing.
Yeah. And do you find, because I know down here, I remember one time taking the camper trailer away and we just had to pack the annex down because the wind was so horrific. And then someone said, this was like a long time ago, pre-Snowy's days, and someone was like, oh, try these Tray Springs. And then we went away to the same campsite, we used Tray Springs and it was amazing. So do you feel like you guys go through a fair bit of those up there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Tray Springs on all of them. All of the ropes.
Yeah. Yep. Nice one.
What about air tents? Do you have much experience up there with people using air tents for beach camping? It's a bit of a newer category, but generally better in the wind, or are really good in the wind, not necessarily better.
I've heard they're really good in the wind. I've got a Zenfire air tent, but I've not taken it up the beach.
Okay.
But yeah, I have heard that they are good.
Yeah, nice one.
I can certainly vouch for the RVs. It wasn't it was near the beach. It was in a campground near the beach, but I was camping and it was just really relentless wind, and I just put guy ropes everywhere. It was an RV lot was behind Dave and Beck there, and I had extra guy ropes all over it. There's just this sea of orange guy ropes around the outside, and the tent was sitting solid. Disappointing thing was by the time I'd set that up and stood back proud of my handiwork, the rest of the family went, this is really, we're not enjoying this. Can we leave? So then I took the tent down and went to another spot. But the tent would have stayed, I'm sure. I was pretty comfortable with it.
Oh, I love that.
I want to talk about.
I know you want to talk about tides, but I feel like wind and mozzies / midgies potentially link up, right? Because I'm assuming if you're in a more exposed site and you're getting more wind exposure, you're also getting less mozzies and midgies. Is that correct?
That's
All
100%.
right. So it's sort of like a balance of, like the lesser of two evils. I mean, I would take wind any day of the week over midgies. For sure. I'm sure most people would think the same. But one of the worst trips of my entire life that I can think of, I reckon I might have been about 13. And Dad was like, let's go over to Moreton and we'll go for the weekend. And it was great. And we thought that we would camp just off the beach, but just back down a little bit on the back of the dune next to this massive other big. Anyway, it was like you couldn't even see the tent for the midgies. It was horrible. And I think I literally came back from the trip like head to toe covered and had a really miserable time for about a week after.
Wow.
So.
And that's because you were in a protected space.
Yeah. And I think we found out there was some sort of water and stuff. I don't know, just blanked from my memory. But obviously that's something that you guys have grown up with. It's part of every Queenslander's experience. What is your hot tip for midgies?
I use Waxworks candles and mozzie coils, and I'll have multiple of them burning all around my campsite constantly.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Long loose fitting clothing as well is always good. Like get the kids in long, and yourself in long loose fitting clothing. Makes it a little bit harder to bite your skin, obviously.
Have you ever have you used things like bug zappers or like those thermocell things? Have you had much experience with those?
Yeah, I've got a thermocell backpacker repellent, but I don't have a zapper. I haven't used one. You think?
Zapper being
No, I haven't actually tried the bug zappers before. I just have about four or six Mozzie coils around, keep them burning. I'm sure if you use the bug zapper in combination with the Mozzie coils, it'll probably work really well.
I'm assuming the Mozzies, I mean, we obviously get flogged with Mozzies down here, but midgies, are they the same timeline as Mozzies? Like, are we talking early or like mid-afternoon into dusk? That's really when they're out? Yeah.
I find a combination of all things works best. My wife gets eaten
Yeah.
alive, so I have coils repellent on the skin. I have
shared some really flattering stories of Taryn after run-ins with Mozzies before.
Oh, yeah, I've only done that once.
and the other time they get really bad is when the wind stops.
Yeah, right,
If the wind comes to a complete standstill, you just feel the Mozzies and the midgies just come out and start attacking you.
It's a bit like flies, right? It's really nice to have a still warm day, but then you can't get rid of the flies. You just want a little bit of a breeze so you can stand with your face in the breeze and they all land on your back. So.
Oh, don't even get me started on horse flies. They're everywhere up there as well.
Yeah, the March flies.
Yeah, they're insane.
So
you can feel them, bud.
Yeah.
Mozzies, get a chance with them. They're a bit slow.
Yeah, they're slow and dumb and dead. Anyway.
Mozzies breed in freshwater, not saltwater, right? So what maybe I'm asking something we don't know the answer to here, but I would have assumed in a beach environment there weren't as many Mozzies because it's saltwater. Is there fresh water around these islands? Is that why there's a lot of Mozzies? They're just stagnant fresh water? Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah,
cool.
Especially Fraser, it's loaded with fresh water.
Okay. All right. Tides. I want to ask about tides because I reckon tides is probably the one thing that probably scares me the most about driving on a beach, because you see all those horror pictures of people who've
floating off to sea
right on a high tide line, and the tide's coming in and they're trying to get a car out that's been bogged, or worse still, camping when it's happened. I mean, you probably see the worst of it on the internet, right? But tell us about tides. What are people? Because I think it's a really important one, right? With tides, what do they need to think about?
Yeah, a good rule of thumb is to not travel the beach 2 hours either side of a high tide.
Okay.
And if you're unsure and you're new to beach four-wheel driving, always best to attack the beach on a run-out tide.
A run-out tide, okay.
Run-out tide. It'll give you plenty of time. The water's going out, so if you do get stuck, you've got plenty of time to recover the vehicle.
Okay, and by run out, you mean the tide's on its way out, so it's got to go all the way out and then come all the way back in again before it's back up to where you're driving. Yeah, okay.
Have you got any funny stories relating to this exact subject by any chance?
X laughing. No?
Not really.
Oh, hang on a minute.
Oh, come on, Dave. You can't leave that hanging.
More recently, at the end of last year, I went on a trip to Fraser and I got off the barge at Inskips and it was high tide. So I took the high tide track, and as I swung into the access track, there was a big no entry sign. So I quickly took my foot off the throttle and then realised the track was just off to the left a little bit tighter. And by the time I put my foot back on the throttle and picked it back up again, the car just sunk in the sand. And I had my trailer on the back, and
oh no,
yeah, I finished up digging for about 20 minutes with Max Tracks and a shovel. And
oh god,
okay.
Nice.
That happens.
Yeah, of course it would happen to anybody, I'm sure.
So that answers my questions about tides. Thanks for entertaining me on that.
You're welcome.
Toileting. Move on to toileting. Leave no trace principles. More and more now, there's a push to just taking everything in and taking everything out. Bring your own toilet. What's it like for island camping?
Absolutely. Take everything away. We generally come home with more rubbish than we go with, because we pick up other stuff. We clean up the campsites and like to leave them cleaner than when we get there.
Yeah, nice. I think I remember maybe about 2 years ago now, I think I was contacted by a woman who was doing media at one of the Queensland universities, and she was doing a report style thing on essentially that same sort of thing, that leave no trace principle, but specifically with Fraser Island, I think it was, in terms of rubbish and trying to strategies around imparting that leave no trace principle with the four-wheel driving community, because I suppose where she was coming from, you got a lot of young lads come out of school and they got their Ps and they're getting their full drive and they're going over there in their big groups and, you know, getting on the piss for the weekend and that sort of stuff. And obviously anybody in that scenario, the last thing that they want to do is like pick up rubbish and have a head for that. But is there anything like that in terms of within camping communities or council regions or anything around leave no trace camping up there at the moment?
Fraser Island used to do a good one, which was take only memories, leave only footprints.
Okay. Right.
What about having vehicles? I've always had a thing with vehicles on the beach. If you maintain your vehicle, it's not a problem, but quite often there's leaky full drives, you get oil, it's leaking in a driveway. I'm thinking if that's on the beach, that oil is leaking on the beach. Do you see much evidence of a vehicle waste, I suppose? Someone's blown a radiator hose and all that radiator liquid's going everywhere. Is that?
Don't really see it. Occasionally you'll come across a four-wheel drive that's been stuck and it's gone through the tide. So the tide's come in and gone back out.
Yep.
And obviously there is some environmental damage when that happens. But yeah, they'll remove or recover those four-wheel drives as soon as they can and get them off the beach.
Righto. So that's you're talking about a written off four-wheel drive, right? How often do you see that?
Not that often. Every few years you come across it.
Okay, so it's, yeah. Toilets. Do the campgrounds have long drops, or do you need to pack in, pack out?
Ryby has two areas that have the long drop toilets.
Yeah,
and also a dumping point.
Okay.
For toilets. Fraser has a few.
Yep, Fraser, you've got some long drop. You've got some traditional style toilets, some areas where you need to take your own toilet if you're free camping on the beach. And also some dump points at different places at Fraser Island.
What do you recommend people going to these islands? Do you just take your own toilet? What are the toilet facilities like? I think people don't like to think I've got to carry my own toilet waste, but I think in some instances it might be nicer than using some public amenities, depending on how they're maintained, I suppose. What are the island facilities like?
Bit hit and miss.
I would have said pretty good.
Some of them can get pretty stinky, but
yeah, the long drops are very stinky.
Yeah, right. Okay.
But generally, yeah, you just take your own toilet, and then, like, if you are going somewhere where you can pop in and use the public toilets or whatever, then just do that. But yeah, usually it's probably nicer to take your own toilet.
Okay. We do get a lot of questions about what portable toilet option to take. Would you go with a Thetford or that sort of complete sealed unit, or would you just go with a bucket loo or something?
Family of 5, I'd go with a Thetford.
Yeah, nice.
It's a big bucket of
crap to take otherwise.
Yeah, I'd highly recommend the Thetford 365 toilet.
Okay.
It's a good size for a family. Works well. Better than digging a hole and having to cover it back up.
Yeah, nice.
I don't have a portable toilet, but more and more nowadays I'm thinking it's just something I probably should start to think about putting into my kit, and everyone should maybe just start to get used to it and maybe move past the idea of I'm carrying my own toilet waste, because they're really good units that keep it clean and smell free. And if you can get past that, I think that mental barrier of carrying your own waste is probably actually a much nicer way to toilet when you're camping, rather than using something that every other person in the campground's used and not cared for.
Yeah, a lot of the problem with the beach camping sites too are people are digging holes and they're not digging them deep enough. Mm-hmm. So you pull up to a campsite and it's littered with toilet paper, and you've sort of had a tidy up before you start, which isn't very pleasant. So if you take your own toilet, it's better to be part of the solution rather than being part of the problem.
Yeah, 100% agree with that.
And especially with the volume of people, even if everyone digs a hole that's deep enough, but there's still that many people there, it's still, there's only so much the environment can do.
And Double Island, you do have to have a toilet. You can't it's not permitted to do.
You can't, you're not allowed to dig holes there.
Yeah, you're not allowed to. Like the
Okay.
rangers will police it.
Yeah,
Where-
right.
which
that's good.
island's that?
Double Island.
Dole Island. Okay, cool.
So last sort of, I guess, question to cover in general beach camping is what are the extra considerations in terms of maintaining your gear and your vehicle?
I guess we always just make sure we do a once over of the vehicle before we even go up the beach, because you don't want to get up there and pay the hefty towing fine. Just lots of CRC and
Yep.
some just always rinsing off everything when you get back as well. Just hosing all the salt and sand off of everything.
Yeah, so a major wash down when you come home. It depends how you like to look after your gear. If someone isn't too concerned about their gear, they just come home and get on with their life. But if you want to look after your gear and you want to use it for the long term, it's best to come home and wash everything down with fresh water. Soap and water even is better. Wash it, dry it out completely. Inox is a good product to use to spray things to stop them rusting or corroding. Clean them up, dry them, put them away, and they're ready to go for next time. And they'll last you for years if you do that. Same with your vehicle as well. When you get home with your vehicle, underbody wash your chassis out, vacuum all the sand out of the car. Even cleaning your windows, because the windows get a build-up of salts on them. And just clean your car thoroughly, like a full detail, and inox over all your bits and pieces, your nuts and bolts, and anything that's exposed that gets corroded, and that'll help with the longevity.
I guess for a lot of people, like how you choose to care for your gear is one thing, but the way that you're camping in environmental conditions are not something that's covered under warranty. So I think sometimes we see a lot of people come in with gear that they've used for beach camping. They haven't taken the steps that you've sort of outlined to care for their gear, and it's not working. And then, that sort of, there's not an expectation, but there's a feel that it's potentially a warranty issue, whereas that's not actually the case. So that is definitely something to be mindful of if you're camping with doing beach camping and things like that, to make sure you are putting in the effort to care for your gear.
And I think, am I right in saying that the type of damage that can occur over the long run isn't something you see when you get back from camping, because you're talking about salt water and corrosion? So I'm making an assumption that you might come home and go, my tent looks clean, pack it away. Maybe 6 months later you get it out, and that's when you're going to see the corrosion on the frame and stuff. So that's why you're saying, Dave, give it all a clean when you get home.
That's right.
And your zippers will seize up and everything.
Yeah, zipper lube, zippers.
Yep.
All right.
Okay. I guess if you're using it regularly, it's probably not as much of an issue. But if you store, I imagine I've seen zippers actually seize up. Salt water in those, they're hard to budge.
And it surprisingly only takes one camping trip, say to Fraser Island, for example, one camping trip for a week up there. There's so much salt content in the air that it comes and sits on everything. And you can feel it, you touch it, and you can feel the salt on things.
Wow.
But it's really good.
That's cool. I was going to say that. That sounds
It's good for your skin,
That
isn't
sounds
it?
cool.
really selling it.
So I want to cover a bit of a rundown on most of the main islands up there that people can access relatively easily. Nothing too crazy. Now, bearing in mind that you guys aren't necessarily experts on the islands and you don't work for Tourism SA or whatever,
They might be experts.
or Tourism Queensland or no, but I guess I
know what you
mean,
mean.
I guess roughly to give people a bit of an idea, we want to sort of cover things like access, rough busy times, booking in advance, considerations for those particular islands or not miss places on those. So I'll kick it off with Moreton, because that's an island that I've been to like 20 plus times in my life. How do you get to Moreton?
My cat.
MyCat. And so that's the vehicle ferry that heads over. That's still at Scarborough?
No, it's from Port of Brisbane at Murray, I think it is. Port of Brisbane, and takes you across to where the Tangalooma wrecks are.
Really? How long has it been doing that? Because it did used to run from Scarborough, right?
Yeah, it hasn't run from Scarborough for about 15 or 20 years.
Okay.
I was going to say, maybe don't say that.
No worries then. All right. Cool. So that goes from the Port of Brisbane. And
I think you're thinking of the old Combi Trader.
I am thinking
It's
of the
running out of
Combi
Scarborough.
Trader. I sure
Yeah.
am. Bless her
But
soul.
my cat runs out of the Port of Brisbane 3 times a day. I think they cross over to the island.
Okay.
You book about a couple of weeks in advance. You're looking at about, I got it written down here. I'm just looking. About $260 return for your 4-wheel drive.
Okay. That's not
Don't
too bad.
Don't quote me on those numbers.
No. It's like it's a good ballpark for sure.
Yeah, it changes depending on season and availability.
Yeah, right.
So, Dave, that ferry cost that you mentioned, that's an independent company. So it's a separate cost to what people will need to pay for the camping fees and their vehicle access for the island. Is that right?
That's right, Ben. And then once you get over to the island, then you need your vehicle permit and your camping permit to camp on the island. You can get those through the Queensland Parks and Wildlife Services app. I've got a feeling it's about $8 or $10 a night per person to camp on the island. And I'm not 100% sure at the moment what the vehicle access permit is, but check the website. It'll give you all the information you need.
Moreton is strictly 4-wheel drive access.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
And do you guys have any hot tips on the best campgrounds or places to go at Moreton?
Depends which way the wind's blowing. It's always better to be on the side of the island that's away from the wind, especially if it's a strong wind. But on the eastern side, you've got all along the eastern beach. Around the Blue Lagoon's a good area.
Yep.
Blue Lagoon's a place you can have a swim. At the top end of the island, you've got North Point Campground, which has a lot of grass in it. If you want flat, open family camping, it's a great area for it with good facilities. And on the eastern side, there's various spots all down. The western side, there's various spots down the side there you can camp with beautiful sunsets.
Awesome. Do they still have that is it Little Sahara or something that they call on Moreton Island? It's like the little mini sand desert
Do they have that?
dunes
I
thing.
think they call it the desert in behind Tangalooma.
Little Sahara's on Kangaroo Island
Kangaroo
here
Island,
in South
it is.
Australia.
Sorry, you're right.
Yeah.
Little desert. Right. So Bribie, we've mentioned already, is via just drive over the bridge. There's no toll or anything, is it? It's just like a normal road.
Yeah, you just go over the bridge, and then once again you get your vehicle permit and your camping permit.
I'm assuming because of accessibility, it's probably one of the busiest places to go.
Yeah, it does get pretty busy.
It can get very busy on weekends and public holidays.
School holidays,
Yeah.
summer holidays.
But if you can get up there on a weekday, it's really nice and quiet.
Yeah.
So it's a great time to go is during the week. You're looking at about $55 for a weekly permit to go up to Bribie, and about $290 for an annual permit.
Vehicle.
Yeah, nice. Right.
Camping, you're looking at about $8 a night.
How far in advance do you reckon, given that it's so busy, how far in advance would you need to try and?
I'll let Beck answer this one because she.
Weekends and really like your Christmas period and stuff. You're looking at like 6 months.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah, nice. Any best spots on Bribie, Beck? Got any faves that you want to share?
Right up near the end.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, they've got a lot of their World War II history, the forts there. That's quite interesting to look at. Yeah, and then a bit of fishing. They've turtles come and lay on the beach during October to March, I think it is.
Wow.
So when we were up there at Christmas time, kids and I went for a walk, and that morning a turtle had been there that night, so we saw fresh tracks and the nest.
Wow.
So yeah, they come and fence it off so that it keeps them safe. But that's quite cool to see.
Are there restrictions when the turtles are nesting, but is it just a section of the beach that you can't walk on? There's no changes in camping facilities or anything?
No, they sort of fence off the area where the turtles have nested, but they just stay off the dunes and that's pretty much as general all the time anyway.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So Fraser Island, that's barge access as well?
That's right. So you've got 2 access points to Fraser Island. You've got Inskip Point, which is just north of Rainbow Beach, and then you've got River Heads, which is near Harvey Bay.
Okay, nice. Fraser seems to come up a lot, or Gari.
Is it
I think it's
Gari?
been renamed Gari now.
Yep.
So Fraser/Gari, busy times to avoid. Is there any, or is it just always busy?
Busy times to avoid would be Christmas and Easter. Also around September when the Taylor are running, we get a lot of fishermen up the beach.
Okay.
And if you want to catch fish, go catch Taylor. September's the time to go.
Yeah, right.
Right.
It's a hot tip. Are you a fisherman, Dave?
Yeah, a little bit of a fisherman. Yeah.
I dabble, he says.
Yeah.
And what about booking times for Fraser and things?
You can pretty much get in straight away.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the only one you'd struggle with would be the barge from Riverheads, which goes across to Kingfisher Bay. You'd want to book that one a couple of weeks in advance. Whereas your barge from Inskip Point, it's basically just line up on the beach and jump on a barge when it's available.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Right. How often are they running then? It sounds like reasonably regularly.
The Kingfisher barge, Riverheads Kingfisher Bay, runs about 4 or 5 times a day.
Yeah,
Okay.
right.
One at Inskip runs continuously from, check the hours on their website, but around 5 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's about a 10-minute crossing, so it just runs back and forward all day.
Wow. And is there always cars on it? I didn't think it would be that busy, but obviously there's a demand for it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Any don't misses or great campsites on Fraser that you'd recommend?
Depends what you're looking for. There's plenty of great campsites. They're all in zones now, so zones 1 to 9, I think it is. Different zones will have different type of camping. So some are flat, open and exposed to the beach. Zone 6, for example, is like that. Whereas zone 2 and 3 are more in behind the sand dune, little tracks up into campsites, etc.
There is a couple of fenced off zones as well.
Yep.
If you've got smaller kids, you can camp in the fenced off zones for dingoes.
Yeah,
Oh,
nice.
okay.
Yeah,
Right.
safety.
The dingoes is something that comes up all the time. Is that just something that you really just
I
got
just
to be
feel like
conscious
it's
of?
Sensationalist news.
There you go. I was trying not to
Yeah.
be too political about it, but
No, but is it?
I guess you've just got to be constantly vigilant
Yeah.
and know that the dingoes are there. They're always there. They're always watching. They're always hanging around the campsite. They come through your camp pretty much every night.
Yeah.
As a routine, they're just always coming through, and different packs will come through as well. But as long as you've got your rubbish and your food all tucked away and not in the tent, I've heard of that plenty of times where people leave stuff in a tent and the dingoes will get into the tent for the food. You want to put that either tied up high in the roof of your campsite in a gazebo, or best way to do it is put it in the back of your car and lock it up.
Yeah, nice.
so they're wild animals, right? We're out there being careful with snakes. Just got to be careful with dingoes as well.
That's right. Yeah. If you treated them like a wolf, like an American
Yep.
wolf, thought of them like that, they're not to be played with.
Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Cool.
Stratty,
Stradbroke Island.
north and south. That's ferry access as well, yeah?
North Strata, yes.
Yes.
Yep. So you jump on it's a Sea Link barge from Cleveland, I believe it is, down Cleveland Way, and that takes you across to, was it Amity Point? I think it's Amity Point.
Okay.
Yeah.
And admittedly, when you say north, does that mean south? Can you not access south, or is south via road, or what's the go with that?
South Stratty does have access. I'm not sure about four-wheel drive access or taking a car over there. I've never done that before. I have taken four-wheel drive to North Stradbroke before, though.
So South Stratty's not really a thing.
It's definitely a thing. It's an island. It's lots of areas to camp with boats on
Right.
South Stratty.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
But I'm not sure about four-wheel drive access.
Okay. What are you thinking about busy times and booking in advance and things for North Stratty?
I'd be thinking the same. Christmas, Easter.
Yeah, same.
It's going to be busy. School holidays.
Yep.
It's always going to be busy school holidays. So,
Booking 6 months out.
yeah. At least get in early. Make your booking early, and then better to be safe than sorry.
Is there any two-wheel drive access for that one? Do you know?
Yes.
Yeah, there is. Okay.
It's bitumen on, bitumen off. It's at North Stratty.
Oh, okay.
And when you get over there, there's different areas you can go. You can go around to the Gorge, for example, which is on the eastern side of the island. You can get there by two-wheel drive, It's only when you get down onto the beaches and you actually go out, that's where you
Okay.
need drive access.
So if you want a bit of a taste of island camping holidays, North Straddie is the way to go if you got a two-wheel drive.
Is the ferry sort of the same sort of cost as the around that sort of $200 to $300 mark? Do you know?
Straddie Ferry is about $160 return.
Okay, so a little bit cheaper than was it Morton was the other one, wasn't it?
That's right.
Yeah. Cool.
So I reckon, I mean, from my perspective, they're the sort of four main ones that people outside of Queensland know. Are there any other ones that you would recommend is worth a look?
Beck mentioned it there before, Double Island. It's not really an island as such.
Okay.
It's attached to the mainland. You do cross a ferry at Tewantin, but it's just a little cable ferry across the river. That's a good one for beginners too. Fairly easy beach access, and the sand's nice and compact. Very, very easy going to get up there.
Okay, cool.
And further north, anything? Is there much more outside of what we've talked about here?
Once you go north of Fraser Island, you start getting into the Great Barrier Reef type islands.
Right.
More so if you're going to take a boat out and stay on the islands, boat camping.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
Right. I want to know, as a wrap up for that, which one, if someone was like, right, Dave, you can only go to one island for the rest of your life, which one would it be? Fraser. What about you, Beck?
Yeah, I'm the same.
Fraser.
There's so much to see and do, and it's an awesome place.
I think from my point of view, sitting here in South Australia, I feel like it's just a highway of four-wheel drives and heaps of people camping there. That's the vision I get of it. But I'm getting the feeling that I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to experience it.
The beach can be like a highway, Ben. You're absolutely right. And sometimes it's just crazy the amount of cars on the beach. But you find your own little spot, get a little campground, try and get away from people, and there's so many places to explore at different times that you can get away from people quite a lot.
Do you know how long Fraser Island is from tip to tip?
Yeah, about 120 k's, Ben.
Okay, so it's bigger than I've got in my mind then. Because we've got Kangaroo Island here, and I think I would have said about 150 for that. So it's okay. So it's a much bigger island than I had in mind.
Yeah.
Okay.
And when you cross from east side to west side on Fraser Island, you're looking at a good hour to cross over the island, maybe even a bit more depending on track conditions.
Okay. It's a big island then.
So it's a long way. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so Kangaroo Island is 150k, so it's just a marginally smaller than Kangaroo Island, which I thought was really interesting.
I don't reckon it's as wide though. I don't think it takes an hour to get across KI. But anyway,
no, it doesn't. But still, that's amazing. I wouldn't have thought that in my mind either.
I had small island in mind, so I had the wrong impression. Apologies to all Queenslanders that I was.
So a question that I do want to ask, which I realise I should have covered but haven't, in terms of those main islands that we mentioned. Now I'm going to scrap Bribie from that, obviously, because it does have that big main road access over the bridge. So say Moreton, North Straddie and Fraser, what is it like in terms of population or residents getting fuel, getting grocery stores or things like that if you run out or you need something and you're over there for a week?
Yeah, okay. Straddie's more like being on mainland. There's shops and servos and bitumen roads, and once you get over there, it just feels like it can feel like you're on the mainland. So if you forget something, you can easily get something. Moreton's next step, when you get over there, you want to take everything with you. There is a small shop at Bulwer that you can get your supplies from.
You can get fuel.
You can get fuel there as well.
Litre drums.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then Fraser, you want to make sure you've got everything with you when you go. When you get over there, you can get supplies at Eurong, Happy Valley, Cathedral Beach and Kingfisher Bay. There is shops there and there's servos at those places as well. But I think when I was up there in January, fuel was about $3.20 a litre.
Ooh, wow. All right, no worries. So be prepared.
When we say shops, it's not like your local Woolies and Coles and that. It's like a convenience store.
For sure. All right, cool. So
They're
moral
essentials.
of the story is be
Go
prepared.
prepared, yeah. Yep. Cool.
Awesome.
I'm far more educated on island camping.
Me too.
And Queensland. Next
Makes
time
me feel a
I'm
bit
up there.
jealous, to be honest.
It does, yeah. We've got one island. I mean, there's other little islands here, but the only island we can access here via car is Kangaroo Island, which is an awesome island,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. But
If you're a millionaire.
yeah, it costs a hell of a lot to get there. yeah.
That was just a stanky
Yeah.
comment. Oh, good. I love it.
I've got
it's worth
friends over
every
there.
dollar,
It's
I
a
reckon.
It's a great
Yeah.
island. But you guys are sport for choice. It's awesome. Hey,
Thanks so much for joining us today.
Yeah, be a good chat. Good to meet you back.
Yeah, me too. Good to meet you too.
Not just on the chatting over the Teams or email, but actually put a face to the name. That's been really good. Thanks for joining us today. Hopefully that's filled in a lot of questions for our Facebook group or the community that's attached to this podcast, and I'm sure there'll be questions. If you guys don't see them, we'll throw them your way because you'll have better answers than we will. So if anyone's got any questions for Dave or Beck or any of the guys up in Brendale, let us know and we'll get them answered for you.
And don't forget, we're going to put links to everything we've discussed in show notes as well.
Yep, absolutely.
Cool.
Thanks for joining us, guys.
No worries.
We'll see you
later.
next time. Bye.
Catch you later, guys. See you next fortnight.
Thanks for watching.
See ya.
Bye.